Listener discretion is advised.
The opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the individuals, and they do not reflect any official view of the United Steelworkers, USW Local 105, or its officers or sub-board members for officers. Now, from the banks of the mighty Mississippi, this is Steel Revolution.
Thanks for the intro, Shawn.
You like that, huh?
That was nice.
I can actually hear it when it starts.
Wow, I finally got headphones back again this month. Perfect, Shawn.
We figured we owed them to you at your last one.
Yeah.
Greaves last stand.
Well, I got it in my podcast contract. Come back once a year.
And what do you know? It's Steel Revolution number 91. It matches Brad's age.
And your IQ. Mike.
Wow. He really likes you, Brad.
Hey, we stick together.
I'm sure you do.
I'm Roy Hutt.
I'm Mike Nicholas.
Brad Grieve.
Shawn Geisens.
So if Shawn and Brad can stop patting each other on the back, we can get to Steel Revolution 91.
91.
Our May podcast. So, all right, in local news, there is no ARB in April, and we're working on third level dates for this upcoming July for third level grievances. All recalled employees have been recalled. The latest they should be starting at the plant should be the 24th of this month. On the COVID front, as of now, the current mask policy still remains in effect, but I know Grieve has been talking to him about changing that, and we'll see what happens. Other than that, I don't know. Were they crickets or
What? Talking to me?
yeah?
Pat lost it. So
Never mind. I was leaving. I guess I'm going to have to put that in this
yeah, you will.
so you can get ready.
I didn't know.
That would have been perfect timing. Shawn lost it.
You got to tell me these things, man.
Thanks, Shawn.
So Brad, any news on that?
I've had some discussion today, and the biggest concern that I have is if we're going to start relaxing things, we've got to take it all at one time. But they don't believe that they're going to be allowed to completely pull a mask. I mean, I think CDC says if you've been vaccinated, so then how do you determine
Who's
who's been
been
vaccinated
yeah.
or not? I gave them some ideas about people coming to medical and providing their card and getting a exemption sticker, but I don't think they bought onto that yet.
So it's being discussed, but nothing's been communicated yet, or there's been no plans made official. Again, if you're getting the vaccine and you have side effects, call the medical department. So you can see if you can get a couple of days excused if you have side effects from getting your vaccine. Other than that, more news with the local elections are over, and the new officers will take their position at the business meeting coming up here on May 18th. Other elections upcoming, international elections will be in November
23rd.
So there'll be communications going out on that. Be watching in the Forerunner.
I believe nominations are September.
Nominations are September. We'll be talking about it a little bit more in June at the business meetings.
Again, new pint glasses are in, and we are almost a year away from next contract. So 366 days, according to the way I looked it up, until our contract expires at 12 p.m. on May 15th next year.
Hey, quick question.
Yeah.
There's pint glasses. Are they the Steel Revolution pint glasses?
Yeah.
All right. They're pretty awesome.
Yep, they are.
Yeah. All right. That's all I need to know. Thank you.
Official listening device.
Yes. God, who coined that?
I don't know. I sent some to some friends in Canada, so
Oh, yeah?
yep, they're on their way.
Hey.
I should probably let them know they're coming.
Yeah, you might want to do that.
And just as Roy alluded to earlier, my last podcast, because I'm retiring as of June 1, which eliminates me from getting that nice 3.5% raise that you all will get on June 7th from our 2019
Yep.
contract.
I'm screwed you out of one more thing, Grief.
He'll find a way to get it one way or the other.
Yep, June 7th. That'll go into effect again. That was 3.5%. Each of the 3 years was the biggest percentage in raises of any contract so far. Over the
Compounded, yeah.
Compounded, yeah.
Compounded,
Yeah, because
I believe
of-
so. Yeah.
So, 3.5 for 3 years. We've
We
got
could-
longer contracts that
But if you break it down, 3.5 on 3.5 on 3.5, yeah.
yep. And then it compounds, like you said.
Yep.
I'll turn this next one over to you, Grieve. So the news on the pension annuities.
Yeah. So it started out that we had some pensions that were what the company will buy out from the Pension Guarantee Corporation from their pension plan, and then buy an annuity to maintain that that pension amount. The annuity will pay that out for the rest of your life. Those were under $500 was the first time around, and that was with Pacific Life. And then they came back and they're going to do all pensions under $1,550, and that is with Mass Mutual. So to me, it's a little bit scary, but we're being told that the insurance industry, state insurance will guarantee those annuities because you will no longer be under the Pension Guarantee Corporation, the insurance on pensions federally. So, but if anybody, I had one person try to tell me or alluded to they thought they were going to get less, but the pension will be exactly the same. If you had a surviving spouse benefit, that will be there also, and any health care premiums will be deducted out of there, and then the company will send you a separate check for your Medicare Part B reimbursement. So if you have questions, give us a call, but we did have an article last week in the Forerunner. Again, more to come. I think for contract, it appears to me that there's some cash available to do things, and that should be to improve our contract in 2022.
You mentioned the cash that's there, because unless I spaced out, did you give a dollar amount of how much this last one cost? It was $1 billion, and then there was somewhere around a $575 million charge to get this done.
Yeah, that's right. 575, 450 million after tax. Now, some of that I think they said wasn't cash. It was.
It was to be taken away from like future earnings or something.
Yep.
Is what
Yep.
they said, but it's money.
Oh,
that-
I agree. It's definitely money. So we'll have an opportunity to hopefully either Pat or whoever gets to meet with Tim Meyer come next, about a week from today, I believe it is. Or no, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. To ask him how we're doing with cash and what we're doing with cash and how far this is going to go with the pensions. So we will try and get more information and get back to you on that.
Yeah, it's another good point, and some information to give to the members. Not if they haven't already known, but the new CEO Tim Myers of Arconic will be visiting the plant the 25th and 26th, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So if you haven't noticed by all the cleaning, that's now you know why things are being done or when he's coming. In other news, some people has been getting was it a postcard you received, Mike?
Yeah.
From there's a Blue Cross Blue Shield settlement. Looks like there's proposed litigation settlement arising out of a class action antitrust lawsuit regarding Blue Cross Blue Shield. It has something to do with charges that they're negotiating charges of certain healthcare procedures or benefits. So people are getting that. I know that our union has no takes no position in the matter. So I mean, if you want to join, you join. If you don't want to, you don't want to. Then don't know for sure if you're gonna get or what kind of money you'll get.
Yeah, people are gonna have to make their own decision on that. We're told by our techs on the healthcare benefits group that probably won't be much for an individual. It'll be more on the company side, paying the premiums, the contracts that they have with Blue Cross Blue Shield or Highmark. So, but anyway, I know some people have signed up. You're not going to get anything if you don't sign up. So, if you want to take the time and do that, we had the information out there once. We can put it out again, and you got till the end of October to get your name in the hat. So.
All right, then for the rest of you guys, did I miss anything for local news?
I don't think so.
All right, moving on to USW news. On Tuesday, March 30th, more than 1,300 of our steelworker siblings at 9 locations in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Massachusetts, and Connecticut began an unfair labor practice strike against their employer, ATI. ATI is determined to force our brothers and sisters to accept expensive changes in their health care as well as other concessions. After going without a wage increase since 2014, they deserve a fair contract. There's a petition that's floating around out there that you should be able to get either on the Steelworker Facebook page or at the Steelworker website to sign a petition of solidarity for them. I know last time they were out, we sent some money to a pizza place that supported them. And
yeah, I want to say it was like 13 that they were out, I believe. There's a pizza place out in Pennsylvania that was feeding them. So
yeah, I can't think of the name right
I
now
can't either.
of me, but I know
we
we sent some money down there so they could send pizzas out to the picket lines. Other than that, I do got some audio from them and one of their presidents at one of the locations. We will play that and come right back.
This is our current contract book. I've got some extra ones. They don't want to follow it. They don't want to make it any better, so might as well get rid of it. 7 o'clock, we made our announcement that we were going on strike at 7 a.m. So I should be seeing my people coming out at 7 a.m. and we're going to get our signs out. We're going to stand here and hope that's enough to get the last 4 or 5 things we need to go back to work. This is an attack on the union. They want us to break. They want us to split up. They want to divide us. And when they do this, it's done nothing but bring us closer together. We produced for 7 years without any raises. We worked through the pandemic without any extra pay. It's time for them to show their appreciation. Give us what we've earned and what we deserve. Hey, can I get your attention? Hey, it's 7 o'clock. We are officially on strike. What do we want? Fair contract. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Fair contract. When do we want it? Now. One day stronger. One day longer. One day stronger. We are. One. We are. One.
Are we back after the break,
I'm not
Shawn?
really sure, because I'm thinking about doing something here. Now, back to Steel Revolution from the Brad Grieve Conference Room Studio.
Thank you, Shawn.
It should be the, should we say the USW Local 105 Brad Grieve Studios. from the Brad Grieve Studios
I like
at
that.
USW Local 105.
I like that.
Okay, we're recording, by the way, so that's official now, right?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Just want to take the time to thank everybody for their support over the years. It's been a good run. I think we've made a lot of progress here at our local. Developed a lot of people. We've got a lot of good officers. We got some new officers coming on, and I expect that we'll do the same going forward. We've got contract coming up in 2022. So I look forward to coming down here for some info pickets and supporting the group and see if we can at least match, if not beat, Roy's 700 people we had out here. And it's not just Roy, but Roy organized a lot of it. We've got a lot of good help, Lee and Brandon and Amber and whoever else on that crew of the CAT team. So I expect to see the same.
The bar was set pretty high, so now we got to get over it.
Brian Nelson was on there, and
Josh.
I
Yep.
think there you got everybody, but it
even takes more than them. I mean, the committeemen all supported
Absolutely.
everything, and that's what makes it work is when you got everybody out there. Granted, in today's world with Facebook and things we have in texting, we have good, easy ways to get information out. If people will read it and come on out, and we can do, these guys can do some parking lot rallies and all that good stuff. So we get through this election, install the officers next Tuesday, and then it'll be time to get ready and start preparing for May of 2022. And actually, hopefully they'll be out there in April sometime, or have 2 or 3 weeks of negotiations, and takes a lot of prep getting up to that point. But
Yep.
one thing I want to remind people too, we did have a Workers' Memorial Day event down here, even though it was a lot less than what we normally would have because we weren't sure of the weather. We were able to go outside, had a good event. It was on Facebook Live. And also, if you're looking for anything on Workers' Memorial, the USW has a video out there. I believe it'd be on their YouTube channel or on Facebook.
Yep.
And also, OSHA has something out there on Workers' Memorial Day. So I have not watched them yet. I'm going to go. Steve Solomon from the International, our safety director out there, he told us about them Wednesday, and take a look at those. So again, thank you, and
Thank you, Brad.
hopefully I'll be back for one of these podcasts next year and check in.
Oh, are you setting the bar at only one?
One a year for sure. Roy, I know you're tough. It's hard to get in. You got all them guys you're interviewing, so.
Yeah, we got to get back to that.
we gotta work
established
on
we
that.
have a princess and a grieve here. I'm Roy Hutt.
Okay, Mike. Brad Grieve. Princess? Okay, Mike.
Nothing on that one?
Shawn
Okay,
may be
bye.
missing.
Well, I think we got to tell
Well,
people
we-
that Shawn has added some clips. So,
All right, me like this one here.
well, we've established we have a princess and a grieve here. I'm Roy Hutt.
Okay, Mike. Brad Grieve. Princess?
How about this one, Mike?
Okay, Mike.
No comment.
Okay, Mike.
Wow. Moving forward.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Brad, for all your service here at the local. And I wanted we got some time. We went through the rest of it. Went through the rest of it pretty fast. So, looking back, and I hope you know where I'm going with this because I didn't talk to you beforehand. So, when you started in 1979, right?
Yep.
And you were making how much money?
Around $8 an hour.
So a lot of things have changed. Certainly the pay's changed. And a lot of things have changed throughout the years. What do you see things that are changing and the challenges ahead for the people that are left behind here at the union and the membership at the plant.
Well, I think, one of the things that's hard to really grasp, because we're all used to, we worked for Alcoa and up until 2016, and then that was a huge company, and with the two splits, and I haven't gone through and looked at it real close, but I mean, we're a lot smaller company, so but obviously with some of the stuff, and we'll get a chance to talk to Tim Meyer, but I mean, it seems like we're doing well. Now everybody tells us we're the flagship, and which we are. We're probably I don't know what percentage of the business. Now I know Tennessee is, they're taking on some new can stock and stuff like that, but bottom line is it's going to be a challenge going forward, but I think the company's doing well, and I think I don't see any reason we can't do the things we have been doing. And you can see they're shedding their legacy costs. So on one hand, we got to make dang sure that our retirees that have those benefits coming are taken care of, and keep an eye on that and make sure that there's nothing crazy going on there. But at the same time, that does take some financial pressure off of the company when you don't have some of them legacy costs. Now, for us, we want the benefits. So, I mean, there's always going to be some legacy cost to it, but some of our, the new hires coming in, it's all on them. So there is no pensions going forward. I mean, the people that have them, and the others don't. So, again, that's kind of one of the other challenges is we got to look at this going into the contract, and what are we doing to help all the membership equally across the board, because those people that hired in after 2010 will not have health care benefits when they retire. Now, they've got that 401k thing, but to me, that is one of I tried doing something with that in the 19 contract, and we didn't get that. So that needs to be something that we work on there to try. You're never going to replace the benefits that we had in the past, or that some of the past people like me that will have, but we need to make sure we are giving them something to move forward with when they retire.
Yep.
And where I was going with that, and part of it is contract, because of the people that were around, people that you dealt with, Brad, are either not there anymore, or they moved on to higher ranking positions with the company if they're still with this company. But there's a huge change in knowledge, whether it's on the shop floor or on the company side, that is a challenge to both the membership and the union, the membership out on the floor, and the union that's either talking about, well, hey, we got an agreement with this, or you can't do it this way, you got to do it this way. And you got people that say, well, show me where it says that. So that was one of the things I was meaning, that it's changing, because your knowledge of why things became the way they were, or why you had an agreement and what it was aiming to solve, all that goes away with people like you retiring or other people moving on.
Yeah, some of that goes away, and I mean, I know there's been things that come up over the last couple of years, and where I have the knowledge going back 42 years, and I can bring that up and try to make sure that we know where we came from and where we're going. But at the same time, I think we've done a good job here of documenting things. We've learned that you can't have handshake agreements, and you got to get it in writing. It protects both sides. I don't care what anybody says. But it has to be. And then we got to continue to work on our I'll call it filing system, or how we keep track of that stuff, because there are quite a few letters as I'm going through some things, trying to siphon out some of the papers that that'll be useful going forward. But we have a lot of that history, but sometimes it's hard to go back and look it up. It happened 20 years ago, and we signed a letter with whoever from HR, and somebody comes along and says, hey, I want to do it this way. And we say, no, we got this agreement, but we got to go back and find that letter. And, you have the local issue stuff that's easy to go back and find, and some grievance settlements and arbitration history. But some of those letters, they're there. We can find them, and we will, but it's how do you, sometimes they belong under several categories. So, but for the near future, you have any questions, call me. But eventually, I'm going to get far enough away from it too over the years, and I won't remember where things are, or what happened. But I mean, because a lot of stuff happens year to year. I mean, you look at this past year with the pandemic and all the things that we did, and voluntary layoffs, furloughs, all that stuff, and putting that into a easy retrievable. I mean, again, we got electronic documents now, and we can scan things in, but then you still got to be able to search for them. But I see that as something that you guys are good at, and will continue to do. I know Bart and Roy both have binders. I know Mike does, and Pat. So a lot of that stuff, it's just that it gets so deep with all the different things.
Well, and in a year like we had last year and a half or so, you've got tons of things coming at you, tons of issues, and you're working on them, and you're getting them settled, and you're done with it, and you're moving on to the next thing. And what I've learned going through, especially the internal layoffs, the recalls, and the other recalls that all happened, was you get busy getting done what you got to get done and getting it done right, of course. But then you're moving on to the next issue because there's so many issues going on. You really got to slow down and capture everything somehow before you're moving on, because then when you go back, you're like, well, what was this, or what was going on here, and you really got to slow down to do that.
Correct.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things that you and I, Roy, I mean, you have to take those lists, keep them in order, and keep track. Now, I do have that one document I have with 154 people laid off to the street, and I know what every individual did and when they came back, and if somebody. So I'll let everybody know where that document's at, and that would, if anything ever comes up on a question for that, and it's just sometimes it's good to go back and take a look at it, but it's all there for that one. Now, I think individually we still need some documents from the company on the return to the departments, but I think we're, again, with what you and Jason had and what I have, we've got that documented. I think we're down to about 7 people that are not in their home department or have not had an opportunity to go back to their home department. So we're in pretty good shape there. That's one of the things, like you're saying, we got to keep track of when these people move and who has restoration rights to where.
All right. Well, with that, any of you guys have anything?
No.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, Shawn. I think, this podcast too has become a good tool to get out and talk or let people know what's going on. Back when the idea came up, and I don't know how these guys view it, but I thought it was something that I wanted to support and get started. And I kind of let them get going, then I kind of stuck my nose back in it.
No.
And
no.
Oh, they wanted me anyway.
Absolutely. We couldn't do this without you, Brad.
I think it was when we interviewed Leo Gerard, wasn't it?
I think you're right.
Yeah, that was it.
I gotta get in there. I'm the president. I gotta get in there. I'm the president. I can't let you talk to a president without me being there.
Yeah, and I just got to apologize to Lee. I thought we were going to do a recipe corner today, but Mike Mike failed.
I will.
He didn't bring it in.
It was not a failure. It will be next time. We're not going to say anything. Maybe we'll bring Lee in for that one.
Mm-hmm.
It was certainly a fitting recipe, Mike.
Absolutely. So we'll have to bring him in.
I cannot wait till we actually have that.
Thank you.
Maybe I can make my one guest appearance, right?
There you go. You could come back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's free food here?
Thank you. He can bring his tray from the back, Mike,
Yeah. Yeah.
when he's with the other retiree, when he's with the retiree group.
No comment.
All right. Our international has a project that they're working on for infrastructure and pointing out what our brothers and sisters do in their fields and in their jobs. And they've got a project that I know we brought up here on the podcast before. And anyway, our international president, Tom Conway, and Vice President Roxanne Brown. Is that right?
Yep. Roxy.
So yes.
Roxy did a interview on Facebook. They did a Facebook video or live thing. So we got the audio for that. It is long. It's 34 minutes long. I was able to at least go through the first 3 questions. It's really good to see the insight of their answers on these questions. So in case you guys missed that, we will put that in here next, and then we'll wrap up the podcast.
Good evening. I'm Kim Miller, Assistant to the President for the United Steelworkers. Thank you for joining us tonight as we discuss our We Supply America campaign. This is a union-wide effort to highlight the things we do and the stuff we make to keep America going. Right now, our nation needs aggressive investment to modernize our neglected infrastructure. This is important because it can revitalize our economy and our communities, and because it can benefit hundreds of thousands of USW members in the process. This means rebuilding not only our physical infrastructure, like crumbling roads, bridges, ports, and waterways, but also the social infrastructure of our schools, our communication networks, and our public health services. Done right, this will mean long-term economic resiliency. We can use the things that we make to do this work. We can invest in our domestic supply chains and build on American ingenuity. Over the next few weeks, the top leaders of our union will be joining you here on Facebook to talk about why all of this is so important, what we're doing to push our elected officials to act, and how you can help. They'll answer your questions and listen to your ideas. After all, it's our USW voices that make us stronger. So stay tuned. We've got exciting news to share about our plans for this summer that hopefully include a return to what's best about our union, and that's being together to fight the good fights. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our International President, Tom Conway, and International Vice President, Roxanne Brown, who will be spending some time with you tonight to discuss this important issue and how we supply America.
Thanks, Kim. And Rox and I are both pleased to join this tonight and to help sort of move this effort forward. What we really want to do is work together with our employers and across our union, across all our sectors, and make sure that our government understands that we do supply America, that we make the products that go into infrastructure rebuild, that we are a manufacturing union in a large way, and that the supply chain that's going to go underneath this effort and drive it and make it long and sustainable comes out of our union, it comes out of our members. And so we've got a lot of plans over the next couple of months to keep that going. It's going to be a busy month about infrastructure. We're going to continue to hear more and more about it. There's going to be a lot of discussion, and it's going to take a lot of work from our union. But look, this is important work. This is the foundation of what we do as a union. This is about jobs. It's about the growth of jobs and the revitalization of our nation. So look, we're happy to sort of kick this off together and talk to you about what it is we have planned. Rox?
Thanks, Tom. It's so great to be with everyone tonight. And I would echo everything that Tom said. And, I would remind everyone, we've had a survey going for a while now. If you go to www.uswvoices.org, where you can tell us what you make, where you work, what you do that lends to infrastructure in some way, because what we're trying to do is tell our story as the Steelworkers Union about how you all fit and how our union fits in infrastructure and the critical role that you all play every single day, in terms of infrastructure. So please go to www.uswvoices and fill out that survey so that we can best tell your story about how you fit in infrastructure.
Look, the government's going to spend some money here. And while it's not been determined yet exactly how much, it's going to be a lot of money. And it's going to be a lot of taxpayer dollars. And it ought to be done here. I mean, these are the tax dollars we're paying. And as citizens and as steel workers, the work that comes out of this infrastructure plan belongs here with us. So that's what we're trying to drive, and that's what we're trying to get at. And it's important that we get your help and we do it together. So look, with that, Rox and I are happy to take your questions, try and bring whatever clarity you need to this, and together move this forward.
Hi, I'm Glenn Troop, and I'm from Local 4950 CNA. My question is, as a healthcare worker during the pandemic, the last year plus has been hardest for many reasons. We're still going through it every day, and it's honestly sometimes hard to focus on anything except getting through the day. Why is this infrastructure plan so important to us healthcare workers? And more importantly, how is it going to help us recover from this pandemic?
Look, in some ways, healthcare is where this whole question of infrastructure surfaced. And when we got hit with this pandemic, the country quickly realized we no longer made the stuff we needed to make in order to get through it. And it highlighted and opened up a key discussion about, well, how did we find ourselves here? And how come we don't have inhalators? And how come we don't have masks and gloves and the stuff that we would expect our nation to have? And so it launched this discussion about, well, for decades, we've allowed this decay to take place, and we've allowed this to languish this way. And so, look, I think in some ways, healthcare workers were sort of the canary in the mine shaft here. And I think we're going to do better because of it. And there's a better focus, and there's a focus on the dangers of healthcare and to healthcare workers. And so I think this is the beginning of recognizing the kind of work that goes on in healthcare centers.
Tom, I completely agree with everything that you just said. And, I think President Biden, as he thought about putting this plan together, really thought about how we could invest in public health infrastructure, essentially. And because our dirty laundry was essentially exposed over the last year, like Tom just said, in the healthcare sector and just in the supply chain for healthcare. And it was so apparent that we could not supply because we did not have the stuff to provide our healthcare workers with masks and gloves and gowns. A big part of this infrastructure package actually invests a ton of money in pandemic preparedness, future pandemic preparedness. So, God forbid the next time a pandemic hits this country or the world, we're better prepared. And a big part of that is by building out the manufacturing supply chain in healthcare, the medical supply chain, where a lot of you are, making a lot of these components in different ways for the healthcare sector. So that would be about $30 billion. That's a big investment in healthcare. I know that we have a lot of members who are vets. There's definitely a big focus too in this package on trying to make sure that the VA healthcare infrastructure is built out in a real way, at the state level so that those systems look and are as strong as they should be as well for veterans. So it's a really important piece. There's a lot of thought that's been put into this healthcare infrastructure piece, and we're very excited to see that.
Look, healthcare workers have had a pretty tough time over the last 15 months. And people have become aware of dying on a job and catching the virus while trying to save others' lives. And so I think there's an appreciation out there of our healthcare workers, and they've been very taxed and they've been very exhausted. And so I think the country recognizes it. The investment is going to be put there, and I think it will sort of change the nature of healthcare going forward, both in who and how we make vaccines, how they're delivered, and how healthcare is going to operate in the country going forward.
Hi, my name is Kelly Verb of Local 2227 in Pennsylvania. I work at U.S. Steel, and I'm a proud woman of steel for 25 years. My union job has allowed me to raise my family with dignity and give back to my community. Recently, U.S. Steel announced it was canceling a $1.2 billion investment in our plant. This news was devastating. Tom, how could this national infrastructure push help us and our employers find the stability that comes with steady work if we start making roads, bridges, and other things? And how will it help my siblings in other sectors, not just manufacturing?
Yeah, Kelly, that's really been disturbing and disappointing news. And everybody in the Mon Valley feels betrayed and abandoned by what U.S. Steel has done. And look, I think the Mon Valley still is frankly a low-cost producer within the U.S. Steel system. It has a bit of a niche market on important issues that are out there and items that we supply. And while there's a narrow hot mill and we all wanted to see the expansion take place, this doesn't mean the end of things for the Mon Valley. But, without that $1 billion investment, it's just very discouraging. And the company has made what I think is a really significant mistake in going forward. But all that being said, this infrastructure plan is really going to be underpinned by steel products and where we build and where we rebuild. And so there's a tremendous future for steel in a whole lot of ways. And I think it's part of the whole recovery that this pandemic has caused the nation to go through, sort of terrible economic times. This is the key to lifting it out and to putting the country back on solid footing. And so I think we're going to see supply chains built out in manufacturing that are going to require steels that come from all the plants, including the Mon Valley. We're going to see a lot more products built. If we have a plan that includes building 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations across the nation, there's going to be steel in those, in the manufacture of that. So those examples exist over and over. And in order to get out of this economic slump that this pandemic has brought about, and in some ways prior to the pandemic in many manufacturing industries, this long-term fix for the country and this infrastructure investment and spend is crucial to get that done. So, look, while it's discouraging that one company makes a bad decision, there's still a lot of opportunity here for us. And having that sort of underpinning of a long-term stable market with an investment in infrastructure across all these sectors is what's going to bring growth, and the economy is going to be able to thrive again.
Good evening. My question is for Vice President Brown. My name is Justin Donnelly from Local 912. I work at the Toledo Refining Company, and we're currently in the fight of our lives to keep our jobs. We appreciate everything the USW has done for us, but to be honest, when we hear talk about green energy and green jobs, that makes us pretty nervous. Can you explain where my brothers and sisters and I in oil, mining, and other industries fit into this plan?
Justin, thank you for that question. And it's a really important question. And I think one thing that our union definitely wants to be very clear about is when we're talking about an investment, a massive investment in the infrastructure of this country and in the manufacturing and industrial sectors of this country, we are talking about all of our sectors, including oil and mining. There is no strong domestic industrial sector, strong manufacturing sector without all USW sectors. And there's a clear path for everyone. You know, you hear green and clean and a lot of the rhetoric, that's on television and, coming from policymakers and others. And it's hard to see yourself, right, in that, Justin, because it's unclear where sectors like oil and mining fit. But we want to be very explicit when we say that there is a direct role for oil and mining and other really heavy industrial sectors. And our union has done a lot of work, when it comes to oil. When you hear our union say things like, we need technologies to make sure that manufacturing can be brought into the future in a cleaner, more efficient way, we are talking about the oil sector. When you hear us say carbon capture, utilization, and storage, we're talking about a technology that you can put on refineries to take the carbon and sequester it underground and move it elsewhere so that refineries can continue to operate in a cleaner, more efficient way. When we talk about direct air capture, again, we're talking about a technology that will take the carbon from your facility and move it somewhere else for another use. So again, your refinery can continue to operate in a clean, efficient way into the future. When people hear green, they think only renewables. And our union has never taken that position. Our position is all of the above. There is no silver bullet that is going to get this country to its clean energy goals. Wind is not going to do it by itself. Solar is not going to do it by itself. You hear, talk of electric vehicles, which is another concern, we know coming from the oil sector. Yes, the transportation sector is transforming. There is a change that's coming, but there will still be a role for oil in the economy writ large. And we want to make sure that we help craft that role and that place for the refining sector. So, I would just, trust us when we tell you we've got your back. And we've been working really hard, not just with this administration, but with previous administrations to make sure that when they're talking about creating and maintaining good family sustaining jobs, that they are remembering that the refining sector in this country is a key part of that. And the refining sector in this country lends so much to local and state economies and families. And we have to make sure that that we're protecting that sector as well. And to be honest, one of the best ways that we can ensure a future for the refining sector is through technology, and technology that removes carbon from the air. And the Biden administration strongly supports those types of technologies. In this American Jobs Plan, there is about $300 million for manufacturing retooling, so that technologies like carbon capture can be deployed at refining facilities. So I really appreciate that question. I think it gives us an opportunity to be very clear about where your union is when it comes to all of our sectors and the work that we've been doing in this space for a really long time to make sure that there's a place for refining in the future. The other sector that you asked about is mining. you know, without question, you know, our members mine pretty much everything except coal, right? And a lot of what you all mine are critical materials that are essential for the clean energy economy. You know, we need lithium for batteries, we need copper, we need all these other critical materials. We want to make sure that we are sourcing these critical materials from right here in North America versus other countries who are doing a really piss poor job when it comes to labor and environmental standards. We want to source, you know, from North America where we have good union represented workers who are doing this work and mining these critical materials in the safest way possible.
Look, I'd just like to reiterate what Rox said, because I think it's crucial and there's a lot of misconceptions out there. One of the easiest places for us to capture carbon is at a refinery. To be able to retrofit an operation, it's more difficult at a steel plant or at a cement plant, but at a refinery, it's pretty simple and it's a proven process. And so it's just a matter of putting the money and putting the resource there. So when people hear about carbon and carbon problems and a new carbon future, it does not mean that we have to shut down the fossil fuels to get there. We can contain the fossil fuels, we can contain the carbon. It's going to take an investment, but this does not have to come at the sacrifice of jobs in the oil sector or the mining sector or others. And so that's what's good about this. This is not an infrastructure plan that's designed to take people and put them out of work. This is designed to create jobs at the places we're at. Look, the reality of someone coming out of a mine or someone leaving a control room in a refinery and next week getting a job building or installing solar panels, it's unrealistic. That's not going to happen. And in real life, skills don't swap that way. So where we're at in good paying jobs right now in those sectors, we're going to maintain them and we're going to insist that the technology goes in to support us and back us up. And in those other emerging technologies and carbon jobs, we have to insist that they pay the same kind of money, that they're the same kind of good union living wage jobs that exist in our other locations now. So this is not something people should be overly frightened about or that it's some impending doom about our jobs. We're going to cover our jobs and our jobs have what have built us this far. So I think it's important as we talk about carbon that it's not a desperate plan that's out there.
Hi, my name is Lacey Allen. I'm with Local 8888 in Newport News, Virginia. I am one of 10,000 people who helped build nuclear aircraft carriers for the United States Navy. Passing this infrastructure plan will not only help secure work, but it will also secure our nation. I am a wife and a mom, and having this great union job and benefits help me provide for my family. I want everyone to be able to have this chance. How can we help more Americans understand why we need to ensure we rebuild America with union jobs?
Thanks for the question, Alicia, and thank you so much, you and our other 10,000 plus members at 8888 for the incredible work that you do every single day building nuclear aircraft carriers and submarines for the Navy. We're so proud of you. It's a really great question, and I have to say, you know, we're in a really unique time where it's not just the labor movement talking about how important it is to create union jobs and the benefit of union jobs for the economy. And, you know, over the last several months, you know, we've heard the word union come out of President Biden's mouth more times than we can count. The word union come out of the mouths of this administration, from cabinet secretaries to senior staff, you know, and all the way down in this administration at more time than any other time in history. You know, I've been with the union now for, I think this is my 23rd year, and, you know, have been through a few administrations. And I've never seen anything like it here in DC. And so it's clear that the union benefit is important as we think about recovering this economy from this period that we have just been through and are still in. And, President Biden talks about it, that the way that we get there is by creating good union family sustaining jobs. And he literally says those words. And right now we're at a point where over 60% of Americans know and understand and support unions and think that unions are a key driver to getting us to where we need to be. So, and that's been built into this plan. Quite literally, the Protecting the Right to Organize Act was built into this infrastructure plan. So, I think it's so refreshing. And, I can't wait to hear what Tom has to say about this from his perspective too. But it's so refreshing for us to have other people outside of our movement, outside of our union and outside of the labor movement, talking about the important role of unions and being an economic engine for workers across this country to actually be able to provide for their families. And, I think there's so much that we can do to help support this push that is coming from this administration for the first time, and so much that we are doing. And so we're excited, and hopefully we can actually see this plan over the finish line and have it include the Protecting the Right to Organize Act, so that we can actually make it easier for workers to join a union.
It's really an important question, and coming from the shipyard, I think it's all that more important. And you're sort of curious, well, what's our role in the shipyard? But those skills that really don't exist in many other places that build aircraft carriers, that build submarines, are exactly the kind of skills that this infrastructure plan is going to foster. And so if you think about offshore wind on the eastern seaboard of the United States, where we're going to build thousands and thousands of wind turbines, we're going to need ships to service them. We're going to need the sort of equipment that you build in 8888 in order to run and sustain that industry going forward. And America hasn't built ships, merchant vessels, in so many years, and have shut down, but we still have deepwater ports in Baltimore and Philadelphia and other locations where this nation ought to be in the shipbuilding business. So I think there's an example about the growth down in 8888 and the skills that you have and the folks that have end stamps and can do that kind of work that is crucial about how we're going to do this going forward. And that sort of work is on the horizon. It's not a pipe dream. We are going to build that offshore wind. We are going to need those Jones Act ships. And we are going to need people with the skills and the abilities and the knowledge that exists down there at Newport News. So, look, I think you're going to play more of a central role than you realize, but it's yet to emerge exactly how right now.
Alicia, you mentioned that you're a mom of a young daughter, and that your union job has been able to help you to provide for your family. Again, just emphasizing the family sustaining nature of union jobs and what the overall goal is here, right? We have an economy that is slowly getting back on track, but is still reeling in a lot of different ways. And the people that have been the most impacted by the last year and a half have been women and women of color, right? And in particular, have seen the most job loss and because of this pandemic. And so when we talk about the union benefit, and the union benefit when it comes to women, it cannot be overstated that we are at a time when we have to push as hard as we possibly can to make sure that workers across the country have access to good union jobs like we have at 8888 at Huntington Ingalls building ships and at other union represented facilities across this country. Because this is the way that women across the country that have been so impacted are going to be able to make a way and to be able to provide for their kids in the same way that you're able to provide for your beautiful daughter. So just want to emphasize that we have a lot of work ahead of us to recover and to help the people who've been most impacted by this pandemic to recover as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Montreal Stibe of Local 5702, where I serve as the president down here in Louisiana. My employer is Noranda, where we make alumina that goes inside of anything from household products to vehicles, cars. Our local has been working hand in hand with management at my plant to help push for this infrastructure bill, because we know that at the end it'll help us all do better in moving our business forward. We wrote a joint letter together and sent it to the Biden administration to put some pressure on getting this passed through the administration. I guess at this point, I would like to know what else can we and other steel workers do to help get this infrastructure plan bill passed through with all this political BS going on.
Montreal, thanks for that question. Look, aluminum is an important sector. It's an important sector of our economy. And while over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of changes in our aluminum industry, it doesn't change things. And you guys down there are the last ones actually producing alumina. But if you think about the electric grid that needs to be replaced, the whole system of electricity distribution across the United States, it's going to require massive amounts of aluminum. The electrification of fleets is going to require massive amounts of aluminum. So I think aluminum and its markets, and there's been a tremendous rise in the can market. We see aluminum companies open can shops across the country. And so while there's a bit of a transformation going on, we're going to need a lot more aluminum. And we've had a tough run on smelters in this country. So we're going to need to do some work with smelters and bring it back in. So we're not reliant on Chinese or Russian or other aluminum that comes in from around the world. So look, I think alumina and aluminum are going to play a crucial role in infrastructure here in a lot of different ways. So look, your other question, the other part of your question was, what can you do to help? And it's important to remember right now we have not a bill, we have a proposal from the president. And it still needs to go through the House and it still needs to go through the Senate. And there's still going to be a lot of action to drive our government to do the right thing. And so we've asked Amber Miller, who is the director of our Rapid Response Organization, to join with us tonight and talk us through the steps that that's going to take and what we may ask you to do and the help we'll need as we go forward on that. So, Amber?
Thanks, Tom. And, thanks, Montreal, for you and your local doing one of those joint letters. They're so crucial, to what we're doing within this campaign because, we need to make sure that we're lifting up what it is that our members do and what it is that they make and where that falls in within the supply chain, because the administration needs to know, where our folks are at when a bill does finally come down and, we're able to highlight, because we already have throughout these, through these letters, what our folks do, then we're going to be first in line priority for some of these projects. And so we all know when our employers do better, we do better, right? So we do better at the table. So it's such a big part of this project. So we appreciate the letter. Another reason that's important that kind of falls into sort of next steps with the bill is we're doing these letters, we're also making sure that our state, federal, and local legislators see them. So when a letter does come down, they're reminded, when a bill does come down, they're reminded, what it is that their constituents do and make. And so they need to be thoughtful about how they're crafting the bill, and honestly about how they're voting on it. So, the nice thing about infrastructure is it's not red or blue. It is concrete, nonpartisan. It's bipartisan. So it's really a neat project for us to be able to work on, because that's really centric to what rapid response does. So again, I think the best thing that we can say is to continue on with these letters, have conversations with folks in our locals and communities about how important this legislation is when it comes down, and to keep having those conversations and hold our legislators accountable. When a bill does come, we need to let them know that this is important to us and important to our union and important to our communities and our employers, and that they need to do the right thing here and have our back.
We'd like to thank you for joining us tonight, and thanks for your questions and comments in our feed. Watch our social media and visit uswvoices.org to get updates, and join us for our next Facebook program that's scheduled for May 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern with Secretary Treasurer John Shin and Vice President Leanne Foster. Stay safe, everyone, and solidarity forever.
All right, back after that audio clip, and here to bring the podcast to a close. Got like a happy trails in there, Shawn?
Yeah, can we do something?
Yeah, maybe I can slide something in there.
Okay. All right, Shawn.
Hi, Roy.
Where can people find us?
Well, thank you for asking. Our Facebook page, Apple Podcast, Podcast Addict for Android devices, iHeartRadio app, the Spotify app, Odyssey app, Libsyn.com, Locals website, and the men's restroom here at the Union Hall on Devil's Glen Road.
You put the pint glass up there, and then you can hear right into the Brad Grieve Studios.
Yes.
So before we go, any more bootlicking you want to do?
You think you're funny, huh?
Don't you have booze in there?
Booze?
Yeah, you got booze.
Somewhere on here. Let me see where it is. No, that's not it. No, I gotta ask some more.
No.
Crickets. That's what I usually hear.
That's okay. I just expected it. It's all right.
Anything?
All right.
All right.
All right, then.
Thanks, everybody.
Don't forget to say something good about your union.
Every day.
Thanks, everyone.
Steel Revolution is a production of Steelworkers 105, Bettendorf, Iowa.